train. So Lord, we thank you in advance. Get ready, get ready.
Praise God. Good morning. We're on the Solutions Radio Show, IntellectualRadio.com, and iHeart Radio Station. We know there are problems we need to solve. What we offer on this platform are solutions, dedicated acts of action that bring about true change. Also, this is a platform of no excuses. Excuses are man's tools of incompetence that build bridges to nowhere and monuments of nothing. Thank you guys for joining us. I do apologize for the delay. We had a few technical difficulties. I'm sitting here with Loretta Firekeeper Hawkins, and we're gonna have an interview with her. I have her in a hot seat today, y'all. It's not gonna be easy. I'm not gonna give her an easy time. So, how are you today? How's everything going?
I'm doing well, April. I want to thank you for inviting me to this show for an interview. I want to thank Minister Corey Wright for continuing this important endeavor, and I'd like to thank Mr. Earl Winfrey for his technical support.
Yes. I do appreciate you, and I'm so honored that you said yes to allow me to interview you. It is such a great honor for me. So your name, Loretta Firekeeper Hawkins. Why Firekeeper? What does that mean?
Well, during prehistoric days, there was a person whose responsibility it was to make sure that the fire was never extinguished. Because if the fire went out, the tribe perished. And that person was called the keeper of the fire. That was their name. And in solidarity with our ancient ancestors, I call myself Firekeeper, because I want to keep alive in our people what has transpired and what has happened to us since we have been in this country.
Yes, that is awesome. That's very powerful. I want you to bear with me. I want to do something with you that I've never done. It just came to me to do this with you. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to go back as far as you can. And when you find the first memory that comes to your mind, going back as far as you can, open your eyes and share that with us.
My earliest memory was unpleasant, but I will share it with you because I feel that when you hide abusers, it encourages them to abuse. But my father was abusive. And the earliest memory I have was Christmas, maybe the day after Christmas. I was about 3 years old. And my sister and I were sitting on the floor playing with some dishes, playing house. And my father was angry. And he came over and he started kicking the way. That's my earliest memory. Mm-hmm. So he was a physically abusive person. So I consider myself a victim of child abuse.
Yes, totally understand that. Wow, thank you for sharing. Have you written any pieces that specifically spoke to your parents or about your parents?
Yes, I did. I wrote one recently called Mama. My mother was the kindest, nicest, most wonderful person in the world. And I began the poem, Mama, thank you for all my yesterdays. And thank you for the 100,000 ways you blessed me. That is how I start that poem. But it's a new poem. But whenever I say it, I get a little teary-eyed because she did save us. She saved us in many ways. And I wrote a poem about my father, and it's called Tell, Tell. Mm-hmm. But I've not performed it anywhere, nor have I shared it with anyone, because it is so hurtful. Okay. So maybe I'll be brave enough one day to share that.
Okay. Well, that's what our platform is designed for solutions and for healing and for helping. I don't want to push you too far. I don't want to do anything that was going to make you uncomfortable. But I am going to ask you: is either of those poems, do you feel comfortable with doing the one, Mama? Do you remember it? Can you recite
Um,
that one?
the one, Mama, I just wrote, and I haven't. I didn't bring a copy of it,
Okay.
so
No, no
I won't
problem.
be able to share that with you today. But it's
Okay.
a tribute to my mother,
Okay.
and I
Awesome.
wish I had
Well, we're
brought
going to
it.
be looking forward to hearing Mama.
Okay.
Tell me, just give us a piece that any piece that you want to share with us this morning, just to open us up.
Okay. I'd like to share a piece I wrote called "White Eyes."
Okay.
I once wrote a poem entitled 1933, wherein I wrote a vivid portrait of how I thought it might be to be a Black American hanging from a tree. Today, the year is AD 2017. I think of all the years that's passed, the Jim Crow years between, and try to fathom exactly what all that suffering means. When I think of that old poem written in the clear ink of my tears, when I think of my humble people and all those death-filled years, I realize reality is not always as it appears. When they were lynching us in America in 1933, there was one strange phenomenon that was always a mystery to me. When they killed an innocent Black person and their eyes were filled with glee, I wondered, dear God in heaven, can white eyes really see? Can white eyes see human suffering? Can white eyes feel human pain? Can white eyes internalize what they see? Or are white eyes just insane? I think of the eyes that saw Jesus Christ hanging from a cross, the eyes that dragged Freddie Gray but could not feel human loss, the eyes that could not see Tamir Rice was a child playing in the park, could not see he was just a little boy, although it was not even dark. Today, as I said before, it's 2017. Today, white eyes are roaming a city street. They're at a murder scene. A Black boy is lying face down dead, a bullet in his back. But the white eyes that are reporting say that he was the one who attacked. And when the white eyes that are reporting lie, then that becomes the fact. But it is not the white eyes that are reporting that I fear, the eyes that give me pause. No, it is the white eyes that are listening that I fear the most, because the white eyes that are listening, those white eyes belong to you. And in your white benevolence, you feel your moral vision is true. But some white eyes are awake and wise, like the eyes of Jane Elliott and Timothy Wise. They see with a clarity that is beyond human guise. I wish we all had their white eyes. Their eyes see so clear, they make me weep. Their eyes would not have allowed anyone to prematurely die. Rice or Timothy Rice, not Martin King, not Dr. King or Freddie Gray, not Joan of Arc or Sandra Bland, not Abraham Lincoln or George Mann. Some white eyes are open and wise. Some white eyes are open and bold, like the eyes that created an underground railroad, like the eyes that died with John Brown and his sons, the eyes that rode on freedom buses that were bombed, eyes that can see are the minority, and the eyes that are blind are the majority. And until those two facts become diametrically reversed, God help white eyes and God help us. That's that
Wow.
piece. Sorry I made
No,
so many
you're
mistakes on
fine.
it.
You're fine. Guess what? You're human.
That is my, that's the first time I've said that, and I didn't do it very well, so I'm sorry for that.
You did it awesome. You did it awesome. I'd never heard that piece, and it was intense. It was intense. It was very good, very good delivery. I know that you um, believe in your pieces that you're doing, so
I do, intensely.
Yes, yes. Growing up as a child, what type of friends did you have? Were they did you have different racial background friends, or was it just black friends? Or
I had both.
I'm gonna let you answer the question. I'm gonna get up for 1 second, but go
Okay.
ahead.
I had both. It probably depended on the neighborhood in which we lived. And we lived on the west side of Chicago while the Chicago was going through the transformation of moving from white to black. And so some neighborhoods we lived in, there were white children, and my best friend might be white. In other neighborhoods, my best friend might be black. So it depended. It did not matter. Friends are friends, and it worked out well.
Okay, good. So you were allotted that opportunity to interact with the different races.
Absolutely.
Great. Now, I know you talked about your mother was a wonderful mother. She was strong and positive and gave you guys lots of love. And then your dad, he was more more abusive. And so let's talk about your siblings and the type of household that you grew up in.
Well, I grew up in a household with my mother, who was an uneducated domestic worker. She got on the bus every morning. She went to the north side. She cleaned houses. And that was good because we never had to depend on charity or welfare or anything like that. She believed very strongly that you work, regardless to what the job is, you work and you do the best job you can, and you pay for your way. So that was good. That gave me some values. I lived with my father, who, as I said, was abusive, but he was.
One moment. Got a call. You're on the Solutions Radio Show with April the Agent and Loretta. How may we help you?
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
This is Mr. Wright. And two of my favorite ladies. What's up?
What's going on?
You're doing a phenomenal job. And Loretta Firekeeper, I just want to tell you how much I love you. It's an honor seeing you back in the Solutions Radio Show. You are tremendous. That poem you just did, it talked about history and facts, and it touched so many people. I love you for it.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Minister Wright. It's so good to hear your voice. We're missing you here, and we're glad to hear you. And I do have a book for you. I wanted to tell you that since I've last spoken with you, I have published 4 books, as I told you I would do.
Wow.
And I'm going to leave 2 books here for you.
I would have been there, but my fiance just got out of the hospital today, so I want to make sure she's well, take care of her all week.
Oh, wonderful that she's out.
But you're there with a super soldier. You there with April the Agent, amazing, wonderful co-host. She is awesome. I am so in love with both of you ladies.
She is.
Thank
indeed.
you, Corey.
Continue to teach. Hey, April, I was gonna say your Facebook broadcast is it's sideways.
So it is okay.
Thank you.
I was wondering. Thank you.
Yeah, but hey, I want to tell you both ladies, you are amazing, lady. Loretta Firekeeper, you are redefining what age is. You're redefining what greatness is. And you're teaching, and I love you. There's nobody better than you.
I love you too, and I thank you so much for continuing this mission that you are on. It's a noble mission.
God is good.
It's a noble mission.
All right, ladies. Well, let me get back to the show. I'm enjoying it. I love you both. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Back if it's not the right way now.
All right. Well, I'll put it on the screen. Hey, April.
Yes.
Love your hair. You got your hair done today. All right.
Thank you so much, my love, Mr. Bald himself.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You always gotta mess with me about my hair. Okay, so we were talking about your household that you grew up in.
So I grew up with my mother, my father, and I had 1 sister, and that was it.
What was your relationship like with your sister? Was she older or younger than you?
My sister was older than me, and she's probably the one that caused me to overachieve because she was smarter than me, and and she was, she was in the honor societies and all those things, and I was walking around feeling um, really just sort of
Inadequate.
lost, and feeling pretty dumb. And I said, well, I've got to do better because this is terrible. So I just tried a little harder, and I did do better.
Good. Let's talk about fast forwarding to your teenage years. What type of young lady were you?
I teenage years, I was ambitious, I believe. Um, I was ambitious. When I was in high school, I ended up graduating from high school early. But it wasn't because I was smart. It was more because I was just so out of it. I didn't actually know what I was doing. So inadvertently, I graduated. I went to summer school and I liked it. I said, oh, I'm going to go again. So the next summer I went again. And then the next summer I went again. And when I came in my senior year, they said, oh, you can't stay the whole year. And I said, why not? And they said, because you've got all your credits. And I said, oh, no. But they said, you got to go. So I graduated from high school early. And at that time, there were no fast food jobs. And it was terrible. There were no McDonald's or Burger Kings or Taco Bells, nothing like that. But I needed money. I was now graduated from high school. I needed money. I wanted money. And the only jobs really for Black females back then were housework or factory. So someone told me if you go downtown and you stand on a certain corner, a truck will come along and they will select people to take to factories to work. And I was 17 probably, and I went downtown. I stood on the corner with the other people, and they came along and they selected me. And so I worked in a factory until I was old enough. At that time, I was not old enough to get a job. And so I worked in a factory. And that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because what I realized was that I did not want to live my life working in a factory. And this is no disrespect to people who do work in a factory, but the position where they gave me, I was on an assembly line, and it was the most boring thing I could think of, to stand there all day, pulling a lever down so it would screw a cap onto a bottle all day long. This is what I did. And I said, I've got to do something. So I enrolled in college, and I got a job when I turned 18 at the post office. And that did help me. And I was a teenager. I left home at the age of 18. I was running from my father. I ran out into the night in the cold, in the rain, barefoot, without a coat, running from my father. And so, because I had learned to always save my money, and I was saving money to buy a car, I was able to let that be my last time living with my father when I ran out into the night at the age of 18. And so I got an apartment. I went to school during the day. I worked at the post office at night. I met not at meet, I had already known my husband to be. And so that is what happened to me. I thank God that my life turned out the way it did, considering how it began.
Amen. Amen. That's a wonderful testimony as to a woman gaining the courage to get away from a bad situation and make her own way.
Yes.
That was awesome.
And today, and this is very today this is the topic of the Me Too movement of women speaking out. But I have spoke for quite some time because I feel that if you do not speak out, this is what encourages people to do bad things if they realize no one's going to tell.
Yes.
And so you must be brave enough. I wasn't brave enough to tell when my father was alive, but my mother knew, and my sister, of course, knew. And but after he passed, then I began to tell people. I told a few before he passed, but I didn't broadcast it like I'm doing now.
Yeah. I just wanted to come on. People be able to see you while you're speaking.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
And I hope I'm not depressing you.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, I want to know about you. That's why I was so happy and honored that you said yes. I was like, she's got to say yes. And you did. So I was like, thank you, Lord. So all these questions are questions that I prayed about.
Okay.
So I asked you these questions. So I'm very excited, and I'm sure the people are also excited. This is all a learning experience because we all have to learn from each other. And you're an older woman who has more experience than I have in life and more experience than my children have in life. And I have that village mentality, and I want to have you share with us while you're here.
Okay.
So I'm very delighted, and I'm not bored at all.
All right.
Just so you know.
All right. I don't want to put anyone on a depression train.
No, not at all. Not at all. So let's see. I'm going to skip around a little bit with my questions. It's a little bit different. What school did you graduate from? Because you talked about graduating your school. What school?
I graduated from Marshall High School.
Okay, and that's in Chicago.
Yes, in Chicago, on the west side of Chicago. It was a wonderful experience there. I was at Marshall when the Marshall Commandos won the first basketball championship. Anything, I wanted so badly to play basketball then because it was such an exciting game. But this was before the Civil Rights Act, and girls were not allowed to play basketball. And so now I do watch a lot of female basketball, because
WNBA.
it's still exciting.
Awesome. I actually have a cousin who plays basketball. Well, she's from Florida, but she's in a school in North Carolina. I can't think of the name of South Carolina. I can't think of the name of the school right now, but we're like praying and pushing her to the destiny of the WNBA. Her name is Elise. Why can't I think of my own cousin's name? No, Elise Davis. Okay. That's her name. Her brother is Andre Davis. He actually played with USF in Florida, at University of South Florida, and he played briefly with the Buccaneers and a couple of other teams. But yeah, so that's exciting. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we have that in common. I like basketball too.
I hope she makes it.
Yeah.
I hope she makes it too.
When you were in high school, even though it was you weren't able to play in high school, did you play like in the neighborhood basketball? Did the girls play? No,
I didn't.
Did any girls play basketball in the neighborhood during that time?
No, they didn't.
Okay. So it's kind of like forbidden to play basketball, or
because this was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming from an era where when I started teaching, women were not really allowed to wear pants. And so we had to wear skirts. We had a dress code. We were supposed to wear heels and stockings and a skirt and a dress. And so you see all of that is so different than way back then.
And that's the things that I'm trying to instill in the young people that may be watching now, or people that are watching, maybe they can show their kids that things are very different today than they were now, and the things that they take for granted. Somebody paid the price for you to be able to do the things that you're doing now.
Absolutely.
And those are the things that we need to make sure that our children understand. Okay. And what college did you go to right after you graduated?
Well, I started off at Wright Junior College, and I went there for 2 years, but it was quite a distance from my home.
What was your major?
It was a junior college, so actually I had no major.
Okay.
It was a junior college, and I was just getting an associate degree. But I ended up getting the associate degree from Crane Junior College, yes.
Okay.
Crane Junior College, which was housed in the Crane High School building, and it's no longer there. But it was nice that I graduated from that school, Crane Junior College, because also housed in the Crane High School was Illinois Teachers College. So as soon as I graduated from Crane Junior College, I just registered to go to Illinois Teachers College because it was right there and it was convenient. So again, it was almost accidentally that I just, or the circumstances led me to become a teacher. That was the natural thing to do. And that's where I went. After I began teaching, I decided after a while I wanted to go get a master's degree.
Okay.
And so I went to Governor State University. And at that time, Governor State University was brand new, just opening, innovative. They had a no grade system. And I liked that because I felt not being obligated to earn a certain grade. I could spend my time actually learning something. And so I did. I learned quite a bit because you could just learn and learn and learn and not worry about a grade. So I got a master's degree from Governor State, and I did that in less than 2 years, and I decided that was fun. So I registered for another master's degree, and that was fun. Then I decided I'd register for a third master's degree, and then I just got tired. I said, why am I doing this? So I didn't pursue the third one at Governor State University. But later on in life, I did go to the University of Chicago, and I earned a third master's degree in the humanities, Master of Liberal Arts. So I would like to, even at this old age, I would like to earn a doctor's degree. I don't know if I'll do it because I'm so involved with the poetry and the performances and writing and doing so many other things. But if I were not doing anything, that's what I would do. I would go to school and earn a doctor's degree.
Okay.
You're never too old to stop learning.
Yes. Amen. Thank you for saying that, because that was part of what I was going to say. The other part of what I'm going to say is my slogan. So everybody know this came from me, Ebo, Butterfly, April. Old is for clothes and shoes. People don't get old. We age. We don't get old. So old is for clothes and shoes. You can throw them away. You can't throw people away. You know, we're too valuable to be thrown away. You're too valuable to be thrown away. So don't think of yourself as old. Just from everything that you've told us so far, if you make a decision to do something, you just go out and do it and you get it done. So
I believe you have to be determined. You know, you have to decide what it is you want to do. And then regardless of what happens, it's efficacy. Do whatever is necessary to make what you want to happen to achieve the results you want. And so you can't stop. You can't say I'm tired. You can't say I don't have money. You can't say anything. You have to set your goal and then meet your goal. Yeah. And that's how I believe you achieve. But I have been fortunate. When I went to Governor State University, I started looking for money. And I told Minister Corey about this. There is money out there and it's available. And I say this to you young people out there who would like to go to school and you feel you don't have the money. There is money out there that is left in annuities because no one applies for them. So apply for money, find the money. There's even a book called Free Money. Order that book and it has just all the many places that you can get money. So once I went to Governor State, I started walking around looking for money. And I'd go into the office and I'd look at all of the posters on the board anything that says money. And I saw something that said free scholarships. They call it fellowships, I believe. Free fellowships. We will pay your tuition if you have a talent that is non-scholastic. And so I saw that and I said, wow, I write poetry. I had been writing poetry since I was in 7th grade. I said, I write poetry. So I said, I think I'll apply for that. So I typed up my poems. I put them in a book. I typed them together, stapled them together, submitted it. And they gave me a full-time fellowship. So my first master's degree was free.
Wow.
So I did not pay a dime, and it was a wonderful thing, and I loved it. So then after I decided to earn the second master's degree, I decided I would try to get this fellowship again. So I typed up some more poems, and I submitted it. And they told me, oh, no. They said, you already have a scholarship for that. And I says, okay, then I'll do something different. So I went home, and I wrote some short stories. I wrote 10 short stories, and I submitted it. And they gave me a second fellowship. So
you guys hear this? Young people, listen up.
I earned my second master's degree free again. When I went to the University of University of Chicago for the third master's degree, I really, because I was teaching full time, I did not have the time to find the money. So I went on and I paid, but it was all good. It was good. I was blessed that I had the money to pay the tuition.
Yes, that is awesome. I love the education. Yes. So anybody who wants money, it can be found. There's plenty of money out here. We just got to go looking for it and get it. You have?
I have 3 daughters.
And were any of them planned?
No.
No.
No, they were not planned.
And they were all with your husband?
They were all with my husband, yes.
Okay, awesome. How did you and your husband meet? And did you know that he was your future and he was going to be your husband?
I did not know it when I first met him. I met him when I was 18 years old, and I was working, I was going to school at Wright Junior College. I was working at the post office. At that time, the post office had a program called Short Hours, and it was for college students, and they would allow the college students to work 4 hours in the evening. So I'd go to school in the morning at Wright Junior College, and then in the evening I'd go to the post office and work 4 hours. And it just so happened that he was also a college student in that program, working 4 hours at the post office. And we met on the elevator. We were going up on the elevator. We worked on the 8th floor, old post office downtown, the one that is boarded up now. And he spoke to me, and he showed interest in me. And
do you remember the first thing he said to you?
No, I don't. I don't remember.
No.
No, I don't. Listen, that was long ago. Okay. I posted recently my wedding picture.
Yes.
He and I, and our wedding was 55 years ago. So you can imagine how long ago it was.
The wedding day was December 8th, 1962 at Ambrose Church in Chicago, Illinois.
St. Ambrose.
What is it?
St.
Ambrose, right? Church in Chicago, Illinois.
Which is on 47th Street I believe it's near College or King Drive, yes. There's a huge Catholic church there.
Can you tell us about that day, the wedding day?
The wedding day, my flaw, everybody has flaws, and I think mine is being late. That is why I try so desperately. I say I'm not going to be late for this today.
And we have that in common
so
too.
I'm so happy I was not late.
Yes.
But I was late for my wedding, and I was very late. So it was all good though. That's the only thing I remember, that I was late. And I was thinking, boy, you're late for your own wedding, And but I knew he would wait.
Yes. It seems like a lot of people for their wedding day is always a nerve-wracking experience. I think because it's so important to us. So it's always everything seems to be going wrong on the wedding day.
That's how it seems.
Yes, but everything's actually perfect.
It was. It
Yeah.
was. Everything turned out well.
That was good. So happy. That's so cool. All right. So you guys could call us. The number 708-223-8953. Again, the number 708-223-8953. We're waiting to hear from you. Get your comments or questions that you may have. Let's talk about. Skip this. Can you share your experience with the organization you're in, Poet? What made you want to be involved in the Poet organization?
Well, as I said earlier, I had been writing poems since I was in 7th grade. But I was writing the poems, and I would publish some. I had some poems published all over the country and in other countries, but they were in, I would say, small periodicals, anthologies, that sort of thing. And once I retired, and I tried to think, what is it that I want to do? And I decided that I could either write poetry, make a name for myself in poetry. I could try to make a name for myself writing plays, or I could try with fiction writing. But I decided that poetry would offer me the largest audience, and I would be able to do performances, whereas with the other two, you would not. So I decided I would try to become a spoken word artist. And one day I saw an advertisement for a poetry slam at a church. And so I went to the church, and I believe that's when I saw Black Ice.
Okay.
And I saw his group, and I was so blown away with the talent, of not only Black Ice, but the other poets. And I said, that's what I want to do. And so I asked him if I could join his group, and he says, okay. And then that was the end of that. I never heard any more. Then later on, I went to another church, and that was a poetry slam, and I saw him again. And I again asked him, and he said, okay, and that was the end of that. Okay. And then the third time I saw him, I believe I was at Just Mike's book signing at Carter G. Woodson Library. And again, I saw Black Ice, and I told him, look, I'm going to be in this group, I'm going to be in the group. So he says, okay. And he called me and told me they were having a group meeting, because most of the meetings are over the phone on a regular basis. But he said, we'll have a face-to-face meeting, and come to that. So I went to that. It was at the home of Anthony Briscoe, who goes by the name of Endora. And I performed my first poem publicly. And they were impressed with the poem. It was only one thing. And that was the beginning. And so that is how I joined Poets. So I believe they accepted me.
Okay. So you know what I'm going to ask you, right?
Yes.
Let's hear only one thing.
Okay. I haven't done it in quite a while, but I'm sure I remember it. I hope I remember it. I think about slavery, a time that used to be people, and so clearly I see. We were brought to this country to be the animals of whites, with no thoughts of humanity, with no human rights. Of all the atrocities in history, of things done to us, only one thing was done to animals that was not done to us. We were bought just like cattle. We were sold just like swine. We were branded with fire from pure white hot iron. We were bred just like horses. We were raped by slave masters, and the children we bore were by the owners called bastards. Of all the atrocities in history, of things done to us, Only one thing was done to animals that was not done to us. We were hanged from the trees, whipped till black backs ran red, while our children watched forcefully so they too would be afraid. We slaved sun up to sundown, and of short mutilations to control sexual desire. Black men knew castrations. Of all the atrocities in history, of things done to us, only one thing was done to animals that was not done to us. Only one thing was done to animals that was not done to us. We thank a mightiful God Almighty that they didn't eat us.
Woo! I love that piece. I've heard that one a few times, so I love that one. I'm glad you did that one. Yay! It was excellent. Wow. That was amazing. So that is really something to think about. They've done everything to us except eat us. And
Yes.
at this point, they're still in our organs. They've been doing that for years.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
That's very intense. So let's get back to talking about your kids. You have 3 girls.
Yes, I have 3 daughters.
All your children were with Joseph.
Yes, they were.
And tell us about you raising your daughters and the difference that you noticed with parenting today from the parenting skills from your time when you were raising your children.
Well, I was fairly strict with my daughters in terms of morality. I felt that humans should behave a certain way. I wanted to raise my daughters to be kind. I wanted them to be loving. I wanted them to be honest. I wanted them to be hardworking. And when they were children, if they started fighting each other, I would make them hug each other and say, I love you, you know. And of course, they hated that, but they knew not to argue. Okay, they didn't want to do that. I was strict in terms of their mental state and what was going into their minds. If they brought a CD when they became teenagers or preteens, if they brought a CD into the house that had profanity in it, I would say, bring it to me, and I'd take it, I'd break it, and I'd take it out to the alley and throw it away, because I told them we will not listen to garbage in this house. They had to say please, they had to say thank you. I never had them say ma'am, because my mother never had me call her ma'am. And I suppose different families are raised differently, but that is why today I probably don't like people calling me ma'am. And I tell them, call me Loretta Hawkins or call me Firekeeper. Don't call me ma'am. And I don't know why my mother, for some reason, I always associate it with slavery. That this is what Black people had to call a white person ma'am, and if you didn't, you were punished. So I never really liked the term that much. But sometimes I will use it, you know, and sometimes my kids will say, ma'am, yes, ma'am. But most of the time they know I don't require them to say ma'am. Yes or no is sufficient with me.
So do you think making the children hug each other and telling them that they love each other made a difference for them?
Well, I don't know, because they didn't really want to do it. Because when I'd say it to them, of course, they'd be angry with the other person, and they didn't want to do it. But I had to impress upon them that this is somebody that you're supposed to love. You've got to love this person, because at the end of the day, this is the person that's going to be there for you.
Yes.
All these other people, your friends, all these people that you meet on the street, you will not even know their names. The people you meet in high school, you won't even know where they are, what their names are, but this person will be there forever. They're part of you. And so you have to acknowledge that.
Yeah. And what type of relationship do your children have with each other now?
I love the relationship they have with each other. They call each other, they talk to each other almost every day. And my middle daughter, Dion, called me today. She called her 2 sisters today because she was upset. She went for a job interview and she was just nervous. The fact that she called all 3 of us. So I always feel that we're part of each other.
Yes.
We're part of each other, and we know that. And So I'm happy about that. That I feel they own each other.
So I would say that it probably did make a difference, because if you had allowed them to just fight each other, they would probably continue to go further and further and drift apart from each other. So the fact that they're so close now, I think that made a difference. The way that you explained to them that they only have each other, the way that you enforced love in the house for them, I think it definitely made a difference.
Well, thank you. I think so too.
Yeah. All right. So I know that your husband passed away. I don't know around how long that was ago that happened, but how long did you take to date again afterwards, or did you ever date again?
No, I never did.
Never dated again.
I never did because he was an excellent husband, and he ruined me in the sense that there was never anyone that I saw that was like him or treated me like he did. And so he set a standard.
Yes.
And the other problem was that I had 3 daughters, and I was not looking to bring any kind of boyfriend into my life with 3 daughters, because being a teacher, I heard too many horror stories of boyfriends coming into the family and misusing the daughters. And so to protect my children, um, I I just refrained from that. And it was okay because once you've been in a loving relationship, and we were married for 40 years, before he passed, then that was enough. That was enough.
That's
And so
beautiful.
you have your memories to carry you on.
So right now you don't date, you're not interested in dating, or has that changed for you? Are you open to dating?
Probably not. Probably not, because not dating gives me a very wide range of freedom. I do what I want to do. No one tells me what to do ever. My children think that they're my mother, and they want to tell me what to
Yes,
do.
I can identify.
But I would say to them, I'm your mother.
Yes.
Where have you been? I'm your mother.
Right.
Okay.
That's when my children call me. The first thing, they don't say how are you, mom? They don't say hello. Where are you? Excuse me, what is it that you need? Why do you need to know where I am?
That
What is
must
it
be
that you need?
universal, because that's what my children do. They call, where are you?
Mm-hmm.
My daughter called me on the way here. I says, I'm on my way to, is this Westchester?
This is Broadview.
Broadview. Westchester's on the other side of,
I'm not sure.
you have to go across that
across,
main, what street
across
is
the.
it?
He said it's across the bridge,
Yes,
maybe.
yes,
Yeah.
across the bridge. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the area. I just drive here. I just want to get here. Why do you think that there's such a deep prejudice in the world? Like it's like worldwide against Black people in particular.
Well, I'll start with this statement. The greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince everyone that he did not exist. And I think that the devil, and I use that term to mean all negativity, when there's negativity, people will go just the opposite of what is true. Since Black people have encountered white people, there has been an attempt to convince the world and Black people are inferior. That white is superior, that Black is inferior. And in this country, when Black people were brought here, it was whipped into us that is the reality, that white people are superior and Black people are inferior. But since I have lived so long, I have learned that it's just the opposite. And when I say opposite, I mean in terms of us having been taught that Black is bad. So what do we have? We have black people bleaching their skin, trying to have blonde hair, trying to have blue eyes, because they believe that white is better. It's been taught that white is better. But the reality is black is good. Not only is black good, black is excellent. And I learned that by studying melanin. And what I learned about melanin is that melanin is the substance in our body that gives us our color. But it has powers. It has powers in the darkness, in the blackness.
Yes.
Okay? So that melanin is what allows black people to sing better, to dance better, to create more, to be creative, to invent more, to run faster, to hit harder, all of those things. It is no accident that when you look at the football league, who are the stars? Who are the ones who are out there? The black men. When you look at a basketball game, when it's up to the line and it's on the line, that coach is going to bring out 5 black men. He had 3, maybe. He's going to bring out 2 more black men because he wants to win and he knows. So we look at people like Serena Williams. We look at Usain Bolt. This is melanin at work. Now, some people will think that I am saying this and I don't know what I'm talking about. But the proof of what I'm saying is on Google. Go to Google and look up human melanin. What is the price of human melanin? And you will find that human melanin, which is found only in people with African descent, is the most expensive any substance that you can buy on the internet. It is more expensive than silver, diamonds, gold, platinum, anything, because it is something like $350, $60, not an ounce, a gram.
Wow.
Human melanin costs $365 a gram, and we have it in our bodies.
Yes.
And the other proof that melanin is powerful is the story of Henrietta Lacks.
Yes.
Henrietta Lacks was a black woman living, poor black woman. I'm not sure where she was living, but she was a poor black woman in the 50s, and she developed cancer, and she was taken to the hospital. I believe it was Johns Hopkins,
Yes.
the only hospital that would allow blacks at that time in her city. And without her permission, without her knowledge, her cells were taken from her and put in a petri dish to multiply. Before that time, man had not been able to multiply human cells. But for some reason, her cells began to multiply, to grow. Her cells cured polio. Her cells have cured so many diseases all over the world. Every spaceship that has gone into space since they found her cells is sprayed with the cells of Henrietta Lacks because it fights off the cosmic poisons. So, yes, melanin is great. And where do you get melanin? From black people. But the problem is, in order to extract it from a black person's body, they must be dead. And so that leaves one to wonder, what is going on with all these murders of black people? Why is it necessary to shoot someone 16 times? If someone is running away from you, and if you shoot them twice, once in each leg, they're going to stop. And now you can arrest them. You can shoot them in the back. They're going to stop. Why shoot them 16 times? Well, they must be dead. It's necessary for them to be dead. Black bodies are being found all over the planet Earth with organs missing. So this is a real concern.
Yes.
And What do they use the melanin for? One understanding I have is they make solar cells panels. They use the melanin to make ointments to rub on your skin if you are pale, to make your skin darker. Various uses for melanin. But melanin is, in fact, everyone that's listening, it is the most expensive substance you can buy on the internet today. So perhaps that is one reason that we are treated the way we are treated.
Makes sense. Everything is all about the almighty dollar. So it makes absolute sense.
So that is one of my interests and topics. I was at an event yesterday. It was young people for them called Black Like Me. And I talked to them about melanin. And afterwards, they were asked, what did they learn? And they, indicated they learned about the melanin, and they learned about some of the facts that I mentioned in the poem.
Okay.
So the poem is called Black Like Me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
I struggle to be humble in the presence of those not as black as me. Not as melanated, pigmented, elevated, God created black as me. I understand the universe is made of 95% dark matter and dark energy, like me. My blackness protects me from the sun. I try not to boast of the sun and my blackness and our affinity, but being richly melanated, I understand. I hold the secrets to the universe, the essence of divinity. Therefore, I struggle to be humble in the presence of those not as black as me. And I have learned, a polar bear, for instance, appears to be white, but the white appearance of his fur is simply to camouflage him from his enemy. If you shave the hair off a polar bear, he's black like me. His blackness absorbs the energy from the sun. The energy converts to heat. His blackness keeps him warm. All this time, we thought that his fur keeps him warm, but that's not right. That's not right. His blackness keeps him warm, and he's black like me. I struggle to be humble in the presence of those not as black as he. Not as melanated, pigmented, elevated, God created black as he. I understand the universe is made of 95% dark matter and dark energy, like he. His blackness in the Arctic keeps him warm. I further learned a beautiful zebra appears to be striped, black and white, black and white. But is that right? The striped appearance of her fur is simply to optically confuse her enemy. If you shave the hair off a zebra, she's black like me. Her blackness emits the heat from the sun. In other words, her blackness keeps her from getting too warm. I struggle to be humble in the presence of those not as black as she. And you know about the black crow. I cross my heart and hope to die if I should lie. It's the smartest bird to ever fly in God's sky. This bird can talk and it can use telepathy, but because it's black, it has a bad rap in my sympathy. Therefore, I struggle to be humble in the presence of those not as black as it. If you understand the words coming from my mouth, it's some deep sugar and it's sweet and it's deep. Whether red bone, tan, or ebony, if your old folks come from Africa, we be family. And we cannot let Willie Lynch's plan stay true and separate ourselves because of color or our hue. We be family. We be family. Our people make love lying on the line of the equator. They don't need suntan lotion. The sun is the potion. They love each other. They love the sun. The sun loves them. It makes them come. 9 months later, a little one. Black as the universe, a gift from the sun. Black as a polar bear, a zebra, a black crow, the universe, cancer-free and black like me. Therefore, I try, but I struggle to be humble in the presence of those not as black as we.
That's that piece. Oh
That's
my
that
God.
piece.
That was amazing. 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 I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. I like that poem. That is
Yes.
my affirmation of my blackness, and that's not to put anybody else down, but that's
Yes.
me affirming my blackness.
Yes, and that's the funny thing, that we always have to add that we're not putting anyone down because we love ourselves.
Yes.
Why? Why do we have to say that? It's crazy.
It is.
It's very sad that we can't love ourselves because us loving ourselves means we hate someone else. No.
That's like with the Black Lives Matter. So we say Black Lives Matter, then, oh, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. Well, maybe we should just say Black Lives Matter too.
No, we should just say Black Lives Matter. Leave it like that. We're not worried about what they say anymore.
That is true.
That was amazing. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Just see. So you're a poetess, spoken word artist, a playwright, writing plays. Can you talk about the balance between your life and your art? Because you do a lot. You're with Poet Organization, so you guys do a lot of outreach and a lot of different events. Are you able to balance all that in your life?
Well, part of contrary to what you say about being old, I am old. Okay. I am old, and I glory in being old because some people didn't live long enough to be old.
Yeah.
And old is not, in my opinion, bad.
Okay.
It's just that I've been here a long time. So what I do is not amazing. It's just that because I'm so old, I have had a longer time to do it.
Okay.
So when I said to Minister Wright last year to, maybe it was this year, I'm not sure when it was, whenever I was on the show, I said, I'm going to publish a play, a novel, and some books of poetry. Well, I did that. Well, I'm saying to you, in 2018, I'm going to publish 2 books of poetry. I'm going to publish a play, and I'm going to publish some fiction, maybe short stories. Well, it's not that I'm super fast or anything like that. It's just because I'm so old and I've been writing so long, I already have the material. It's just a matter of putting it in the right format and getting it out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So you were in preparation. You were in preparation.
Yes.
That is amazing. Thank you for that education. Yes.
I would imagine you have quite a few poems.
Yes. So that's my thing. I think the way you think as far as with my book of poetry, I have so much. All I have to do is go dig in the crates and put it all together. And I have my book already. It's just there.
So when are you coming out with the book?
I'll have it next year.
All right.
Definitely have it next year, and prayerfully also a CD release. So
that is wonderful.
Yeah,
that is wonderful.
So I'm excited about that.
What is your favorite poem?
Ooh, my favorite poem right now is
that your own poem.
My favorite poem right now, that's mine, is Foundation, and that's the one that I just do like the first part. It's a 2-part poem because it's very long.
Well, so we hear some of it.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no need to rush. Yes, you are my man crush. However, I can't just give myself to you. You have to earn my sweet nectar. Am I worth it for you? Black man, you are my man king, something like a god to me. You call me queen. Goddess is what you claim to see when you look at me. Yet, you want to treat me like some $2 whore that you met in the street. Because we spent some time, shared some laughs, maybe you spent some money. Does that to you mean you're entitled to all my honey? Why? And how, when my temple is my temple, I must respect, protect, and stand strong for me until I deem when and with whom I choose to allow to enter into me. Why do we profess and address each other as kings and queens? These are titles with reservations of respect. I wish to honor you, king. Is to devour and deflower me all you seek? If I call you king, I'm not trying to bring you dishonor or treat you less than such. When I look at you, I seek the God in you, not just a mere man who wants to touch and thrust. See, when I look at you, I seek the God man that the King of Kings has created you to be. Don't taint this, babe. Don't make this change. Black man, king, God, I love you. But do you love me? And that's that piece.
Wow. Wow. I say what Reverend Minister Cora would say, wow. Wow. Okay.
So that's
was
a piece of that
awesome.
one. Yes, thank you.
That was awesome. I love that.
So that's my favorite for 2017. I love
That is a
piece.
Black woman affirming her demand for respect.
Yes.
I love it.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about.
Beautiful.
So in going into that piece, I'm going to go ahead and ask you another question. What do you think is the answer to change America today with all the racism and hate? First with the different races, and then with us as a people, the way that we view and treat each other.
I really do think that the answer is education. And the reason I say that is because I think so much of the dissent that we see between the races today is caused by the ignorance of white people. And I'm not saying that to be mean-spirited. I'm saying it because it's a historical fact that white people are totally ignorant of what has happened to Black people in this country. Only thing that happened was slavery. And their idea of slavery is the, what was it, Durango? What was the name of that movie?
The Django.
The Django. That was not slavery, where Black women walk around in long gowns, strolling with umbrellas on the plantation, or sitting down at the table with the master eating and demanding what he wanted. That was totally unrealistic. That was a fairy tale. But what happened to Black people in this country has been hidden from white people. And so white people, not knowing what has happened, somehow feel that they are the ones who have been mistreated. And this is where all the Trump followers are of let's return to those days when white people were in charge. Black people, in fact, and white people seem not to know about the Black codes.
Yes.
And the Black codes is not what happened to Black people during slavery, but what happened to Black people after slavery. After slavery, let's begin with 1865, when slavery supposedly ended. That same year, Mississippi wrote a group of laws called the Black Codes, Mississippi Black Codes. And those codes would govern how Black people lived their lives. One of the first laws in this Black Code was that Black people must be taxed $1 per year for being Black. We must remember that Black people or slaves were freed penniless, so they didn't have $1. But if they did not have the $1 at the end of the year, they were arrested. This is when mass incarceration began. In 1866, 1 year after slavery ended. The other fact is that Black people were told that if you did not have a letter on your person in public showing that you were employed by a white person, you were arrested. This happened. Well, there were so many slaves that were freed, there were no jobs. The South had just had a war that they lost. The economy was bad. There were no jobs. But the purpose of arresting Black people with all these laws, many of which were ridiculous, such as the law saying a Black person who walked beside a railroad track was to be arrested. A Black person who did not say ma'am to a white woman would be arrested. A Black person who did not say sir to a white man would be arrested. A white person could come to your house, knock on your door. He didn't even have to knock, just come into your house. If he saw a speck of dirt on the floor, he could report you for having a dirty house, and you were arrested. you were rude to a white person, you were arrested if you disputed a white person. If they walked into your house and raped your wife, and you went and said, they raped my wife, and they said I didn't, and you said they did, you were arrested for disputing a white person that we were under. It was laws to make sure that we remained poverty-stricken, educationally ignorant, socially unequal. They were unfair laws, they were racist laws, and they robbed Black people of our wealth after slavery. White people do not seem to know this. Many Black people do not know it also. But if they knew it, perhaps they would not be so angry about how they are being mistreated. They are not being mistreated. They are privileged in this country.
Wow, definitely educating. That is true. A lot of people don't know about that because I definitely didn't know about it. And I'm going to be sticking close to you so I can learn more because I want to know. I want to know. I need to know. My children need to know.
When you look up the Mississippi Black Codes, realize that as soon as Mississippi adopted those laws, every state that had previously been a slave state adopted those same laws. So all over the South, and in many cases in the West, Western states, even Illinois had what was called sundown towns, where a Black person was arrested if they were in town when the sun went down. They were arrested. The purpose of arresting Black people to this extent was not to arrest them and put them in jail and let them have leisure of not working. The purpose, the main purpose was, and only purpose, was that once you put them in jail, they were fined. During those days, the sheriff did not earn a salary. The sheriff received his money from every person he arrested. He was given $5. The sheriff was. The clerk in the court was given $2. The witness had to be a white person, and the purpose of the witness was to give the pretense that we're being fair. Someone saw you do this. So a white person could walk into your house and say, I see you have a dirty floor. I'm going to call the sheriff and I'm the witness. Many poor white people became professional witnesses. They would go around to Black people, make up whatever story they wanted to make up. The Black person could not deny it or dispute it, else they were put in jail. And so you just went to jail. Once you got to the jail, you owed $5 to the sheriff, $2 to the clerk, $2 to the witness. Now you owe $9 and you never even had $1 in your life. So what happened? Any white person, and I emphasize that, any white person could come to the jail and pay your fine, your $9 fine, and take you with them and work you on their fine to pay it off for however many years you chose. They chose. That was the law.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That is what we were up against.
Yes, educate. That's awesome. That's awesome to know. That's good information.
So when you go to the Google it. When you go to Google Mississippi Black Codes, then look at the vagrancy laws, because all of those laws fell under vagrancy. When we see those old movies and we see Black men on the chain gang and they had on those black and white striped suits, those men were not murderers or rapists or burglars. They were people who had not said ma'am or had not said sir, or who did not have $1 to pay for a fine, or who some white person walked into their house and said, I see a speck of dirt. That's what they were arrested for. In one county in Tennessee, 3/4 of all the Black men were arrested that first year after slavery for vagrancy laws. So I will not say any more about that because it is very intense and it makes one angry.
And I see that that's something that you're very passionate about, and that's something that's good to have. That's something that we need as a people. We people in general, all people, all humans need to understand this and know that this happened, that this is real, that the slave trade and the things that's going on right now is not a joke. These things are really happening. People are really being kidnapped in this for sex trades, and people are really being killed for their organs and their body parts. All these things are real. These things are not made up. It's not real. It's just a fad. Is something that's gonna pass. No, it's not. It's just only getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's why you hear about it more. That's why you hear about it more prevalently, because it's been going on for years. We just now hearing about it and hearing about it more and more.
Well, in Tripoli, Libya today,
Yes.
Black people are being sold. They've been tricked into slavery the same way that our ancestors were tricked into slavery centuries ago. They are people who are told someone can give them passage to get to Europe. And because Europe has been raped by the white man, all the riches stolen, people are poverty stricken, the people are desperate to go to Europe because they are, in some cases, citizens of that country that colonized their land. And so they pay the money to go to Europe. But instead of taking them to Europe, they're taking them to Tripoli, Libya. And in Libya, what they do, once they get there, they start torturing them, they chain them, they beat them, and then they sell them for $400. This is happening in 2017. So for people who say, why do you talk about slavery so much? People who forget their history are doomed to repeat it.
Yes.
And just the same way that our ancestors were tricked into slavery, the chiefs were told, we're going to take these people over here and do this with them and give them jobs. No, they were put into slavery. And so it is happening again in the world. And we as Black people, especially, we cannot be complacent. We cannot decide, oh, that's their problem. It's our problem. It's the problem of anybody whose skin is Black, because slavery can happen again. And if it can happen there, it can happen here.
Yes. Agree, absolutely. Now, in poets, people of extraordinary talent, being in that organization, I'm told that it is mandatory to create a poem about "I am a poet." Correct? You have to create a poem to perform.
But it doesn't have to be about that.
Okay. What was your poem to get into the organization?
No, I did not do that.
You didn't?
No, I went to the face-to-face meeting and I did the poem. There is one law. They do have rules, and one rule is called rule number 5, okay. And that is always be prepared. And so when I went to the very first meeting, and after the meeting was over and I was introduced, I was told that's the rule. Rule number 5, when we say rule number 5 and say your name, you begin spitting a poem. Awesome. And so the meeting was over and I was picking up my purse and I was ready to leave. And Black Ice said to me, Loretta Hawkins, rule number 5.
Nice.
And so I just started saying only one thing. And I was amazed at the response. They liked it very much. And that became my signature poem until I learned a few more poems.
Wow, I just got chills. That's awesome. Wow. So what does it mean to you to be a part of the Poet organization?
I enjoy being a Poet member. We are Poet activists. Yesterday we were over on 113th and Halsted at a youth center, mentoring with young people that Black Ice and the Poet organization had been working with previously. And not only did the Poet members perform their poetry, but the students who were there, young people, did their poetry, and they were awesome young poets. It was a beautiful thing. We had pizza, we had tacos, we had drinks, laughter, we had music, we had fun. So I enjoy being a Poet member. And I like going to the schools, the churches, the events that are free events that we go to minister through our artistry.
Okay. Now we've talked about your life as a young person, your friends younger, and your friends in high school. Um, your friends you have in high school, were they very different from the ones you had as a younger child? And then fast forward to the friends that you have now. How do they differ as your life has changed and evolved?
Well, that's a difficult question. That's a difficult question. I'm the type of person that I don't need a lot of friends. Some people need a lot of friends to feel validated. So most of my life, I've always had like one best friend, and then that's what we do. We become best friends and we do everything together. When I was a child, I remember it was a young Caucasian girl whose name was Wendy, and I don't even remember her last name, but we were about 10 and we were best friends. And what I remember most about that friendship is that we went to Riverview, way north. And because I have motion sickness on the way back, I was ill. And I said, let's walk for 1 block because I can't get on the bus. I'll be sick. So we walked for 1 block. And then I said, I'm still ill. We walked for another block. To make a long story short, we walked from Riverview, which is way, way north, to the west side of Chicago.
Wow.
Um, and she walked with me. And I was grateful to her that she walked with me because I could not bear getting on anything that was moving. And then later I had another friend. Her name was Dorothy. She also was Caucasian. We was in a changing neighborhood. We were best friends for a while. And then when I went to high school, I met uh, a young lady named Essie, and we were best friends all through high school. She's African American, and we wanted to avoid many of the kinds of things that we were seeing on the west side of Chicago, the gangs, the pregnancy, that sort of thing. And so we walked around feeling superior in a way because we were saying, no way, will that happen to us. We're not getting in gangs. We're not going to get pregnant. We're going to go to school and we're going to do whatever. And so we did. And she passed last year. She lived in Maywood, not far from here. Um, so that was a friend. And then later on, I had some other close friends in life. So I believe in friendship.
Okay. And the only reason why I'm asking that question is because I want the young people to understand that life evolves. And the people that you're around now, you may be around them for a time, but they may not be in your life for always. It may be a reason they're there for a certain season. And you have to understand that you have to love yourself and believe in yourself and do the things that are. And if their friends around and they feel like you're not cool because you're not doing certain things, that's fine. Take your own route and do your own thing. Understand that your purpose that God has given you is your purpose. And those people that you know now, 20 years from now, you're going to be on a whole different level. You're both going to be on a whole different plateau. You may or may not know them. So that's the reason why I asked that question, just to let people understand
true.
that.
Very true. I was wondering if I could mention one of my poems.
Of course. Absolutely.
And I mentioned this poem because it was the first time that I ever free flowed, where I just started saying a poem without writing it down. It was the first time and the only time. And it was frightening because I didn't know what I was saying and I didn't know what I was going to say next. But the words just came. So I just felt that this was something God just sent to me. And the poem ended up being about Harriet Tubman. And I called the poem These Shoes. And I am amazed at how much recognition I have gained from this particular poem. And I even named, I put one of my books is called These Shoes.
Yes.
and other poems.
Okay.
But it's a long poem, and I'm not going to say it, but I would like to say I've been having a tremendous amount of success from this poem. I submitted the poem to Collaboration Theater in Milwaukee on the north side. I submitted the poem, me performing this poem, These Shoes, where I perform it in costume. And I submitted my play of Quiet Birds, which had just won a national award.
Awesome.
And I submitted both of those for their theater festival, and they chose These Shoes. So These Shoes I will be performing 3 times in January.
Okay.
And then they further.
And where will you be performing it in January?
I wrote it down. I will be performing at Collaboration Theater, which is on Milwaukee, on the north side, and the address is 1579 North Milwaukee, on the 3rd floor. It's Collaboration Theater, and the particular program is called Collaboration Encounter Series. And they also chose me performing this poem for the theater in the parks. They asked if I would perform this poem in February at Theater on the Lake, and also at La Follette Park. Theater on the Lake on the 3rd. This is my advertisement.
Go ahead. You're going to advertise somewhere, so go ahead.
Theater on the Lake, I will be performing These Shoes. And on the 24th at La Follette Park, I will be performing These Shoes. I performed this poem, I'd say 15 times last year during Black History Month. Started at Harold Washington College, and I ended up at Crete-Monee Middle School performing this. So I've had a tremendous success with that, and I want to thank God for sending that poem to me.
Yes. How can people contact you to purchase your works, or contact you to see where you're going to be, or if they want to book you for anything, an event or anything like that?
Well, again, I'm so deficient technologically, but I need to get up, and I will get up a website. But now, if you want to see my work, you can see it on Facebook, you can see it on Google, you can see it on, help me, where else?
On the poet site.
Yes.
You have it.
Yes, you can.
But her name on Facebook is Loretta Firekeeper Hawkins. So you can go on Facebook and look her up, and send her a message in her comments, or send her an inbox, and she'll get it. She'll be able to contact you that way.
Yes. And they could email me, hawkinsloretta@gmail.com. So I don't promote myself a whole lot right now, but I'm just trying to get my work out.
Yes.
And
well, the more you do, the more you're going to get promoted, because you're awesome, and people recognize that. They recognize awesomeness.
Well, thank you.
So, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what age would you be, and what would you say?
I would say I would be a teenager again, probably. And I would say to myself,
what age specifically?
I would be maybe I'd be 20, maybe I'd be not a teenager. I would say work harder. I would say to myself, work harder. You wasted a lot of time, and you could have done better. You could have done more. You could have done better.
Wow.
That's what I would
You're
say.
definitely an overachiever. You're definitely an overachiever, because you are fabulous. What is your definition of freedom?
Freedom is being able to say what you like to an extent. And freedom is mobility, being able to go where you want to go and do the things you want to do. So I consider myself a free person. And I'm very satisfied with my situation. You know, my greatest gifts, I would say, was my children, and they're all good. They're good to me. They're good for me. They think that they're my mother, all three of them. Okay, and they're just loving. So that is a gift there, and that is a freedom. I just feel free. I feel wonderful.
Okay.
I thank God every day.
Yes.
I will be 76 years old next month,
Wow.
and I think when I think about age, I think if you take 100 years and divide it into 4, you have 25 years each season. So the first season is spring, and then summer, and then winter, and then fall. So once I'm no longer 75 and I'm 76, I will be in the winter of my life, the winter of my life. And I'm so happy to be here because it means I survived the summer, winter, and the summer and spring and the fall.
Yes.
So I'm very pleased to be here. And I know that the next step after winter is
Summer.
the casket. Okay, when you're talking about a human life,
Maybe not. People are living longer.
I am not looking forward to living to 125.
You could be 125. Why not? We need you.
I am not looking forward to that.
We want you to rest when you're ready to rest, but we're not trying to rush you out of here.
but I am happy where I am in the winter of my life as long as I can.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely
so
understood.
I don't, when I tell my age, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me or say, "Oh, poor thing." I am happy because the place where I am now, so many people that I know did not make it to that place.
Yes.
So I'm happy.
We've come to the end of our show, unfortunately. Thank you so much for coming out and sharing with us and being so open with us. I actually greatly appreciate it and am honored. Thank you all who were watching and participating with us and allowing us time and space in your lives and your heart. So God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. I have another guest, Markel Kales. He'll be in. He's an awesome young poet. So he'll be here, and the times will be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Peace.
People get ready. There's a train a coming. Don't need no back.